So in this demo session, I'm going to talk about the introductions of the governance, because we have a limited times, 45 minutes, so we cannot speak too much. We can't talk too much about the P1. So in this simple introductions, I will divide like 7 components of this corporate governance, and one by one, all the components I can see. Like you can see that in your notes, that all the components: what, why, benefits, purpose, relevance, consent, stakeholders, and all this. So we're gonna cover all this in today's sessions, like purpose, and finally the last content of governance is stakeholders. Okay. So as I told you that I need the board, so I'm not gonna use this one. I will use the board. So better I disconnect this one. Okay. So governance. What does it mean, governance? So, I will write here, corporate governance. The definition or the meaning of the corporate governance. We start with the very basic from the ABC of corporate governance. So, meaning of corporate governance. Many different people, they have a different ideas, different opinion about the corporate governance. But if we want to know exactly or specific definition of the corporate governance, we should go with the Cadbury's report. Cadbury is the name of the person who introduced the report or introduced the committees in 1992 regarding the principle of the corporate governance. So what does it mean, corporate governance? Corporate governance is a system in which company control and company direct it. So corporate governance give us the directions to the company, direction to the company towards its goal, towards its objective, towards its mission and the vision. So when we talk about the companies, it doesn't mean that only profit-making organization. We have also corporate governance for the not-for-profit making organization. So in today's demo session, we have a small part of not-for-profit making organization. So Cadbury's committees introduce the meaning of the corporate governance. Now the question is, how does corporate governance came into existence? How does it arise? What happened in UK? There was a big company. The company name was Polypack, P-O-L-L-Y-P-A-C, Polypack International and Maxwell Communication Company. These two companies basically involved into the fraud, involved into the corporate scandals. Corporate scandals mean cheat in simple language. They cheat the people. So after that, Cadbury's introduced some principles in order to run the business, in order to be more legitimate, in order to be more ethical. Then almost 10 years later, there was another scandal in America. The biggest scandal, everybody knows that. We call it Enron. The name of the company is the Enron and the word com. These two companies also involved into the corporate scandals. And then in UK, they introduced another corporate governance code. We call it SOX, stand for Sarbanes-Oxley. Sarbanes and Oxley. Name of the people. One person name is Sarbanes, another name is Oxley. So that's the very basic ideas behind introductions of the corporate governance. In America, there is another special course in relation of corporate governance. We call it OCED. We stand for Organization, Economic, Corporation Developments, Cooperation Developments. That course basically tells about what are the equalities of stakeholders and shareholders, board of directors, and executive directors, non-executive directors, roles and responsibilities of the directors, accountabilities of the directors, and some other matters. Anyway, so that's very simple ideas behind the corporate governance. So now we come to today's demo session, which is about governance. So we start with what? What is corporate governance? As I mentioned you before, governance is a system in which business operated. The system in which business operated. Right? So in this module P1, we're going to look at the governance in which the business operated. We will look at shareholders and stakeholders. So these two parts of I would say that two users, two readers of the organization, we're going to cover these shareholders and stakeholders in this P1. Not this session, in the whole course, the P1. That's corporate governance. Now the question is, why corporate governance, or to whom corporate governance required? Corporate governance basically exists because of JSC, joint stock companies. What does it mean, joint stock company? Joint stock companies are those companies which are owned by shareholders, controlled by the shareholders, and run by management. So they are separated, like as business entities concept. So they are separated, controlled by someone, run by someone. All right. Let's say controlled by you. You are shareholders, and run by me, directors of the management. Now the question is, I'm a director, you are a shareholders. So director is the person who involved into day-to-day business activities, who come to the business every day, involved into all the daily transactions. But shareholders, no, they do not involve into the day-to-day transactions. So what does it mean? You are shareholders, I am directors. Do you believe me that I am using your money very well? No. That's human natures. Human never believe human. That's true. Like as for example, when I was student, my parents never believed me that I study good. I go to school on time. And I never believe my parents, if I got high marks, my parents will buy for me expensive present. So even though son and parents, they do not believe each other. So of course, shareholders not going to believe directors not going to believe shareholders. So something problems. That problems we call it agency problem. Agency problem is problem between principal and the agent. You are shareholders, you are principal, and the directors or the management, and the agent. So problem about what? Problem about what I said. We do not believe. Problem about trust. You do not believe me, I do not believe you. Okay? And problem about not only trust and personal interest. So for example, you are shareholders. What do you want for me? Or what do you want, whatever money you invested in the company? You want that company grow, your money grow, your business keep going on. So we call it long-term value. or shareholder wealth maximization. You invested money in my company, you want your money increase, your money grow, your money maximize. All right, that's your personal interest. And what is my personal interest? My pocket. I don't care about you. I don't care about your money. I just care my personal benefits, my salary, bonus, commission, incentives. So normally director salary or director remuneration is performance based. Performance means if my performance is good, shareholders reward me very high money. They give me high reward. So what does it mean? Can I change something financial statement? Can I change the accounting numbers? We call it manipulations. Can we manipulate my financial statement to attract you, to make you happy? I can do that. All right. So that's called agency problem. So I think if I'm not wrong, in F3, students learn about creative accounting. Creative accounting means I use that accounting in creativity means like the smart way to use the numbers. They are number. So I'm the accountant. I can change the numbers. Actually, I can change the company. What does it mean, company? How can we understand company good or bad? Look at the buildings, look at the people, look at the furnitures, look at the projectors. No, look at the financial statement. So I can change financial statement. We call it creativity accounting. So accountant really creative. Okay, I tell you one funny example now. Creative, something comes in my mind. Actually, there was three people: doctor, engineers, and accountant. You know that? Yes. You know this story? Yes. So one person asked doctor, "Doctor, 1 plus 1, how much?" Doctor said that one patient plus another patient, 2 patients. And I said, okay. And then that person, he asked engineer, 1 plus 1 how much? He said 1 plus 1 become synergy. Synergy means two people are not 2, they equals to 20. So actually when one person is a 1 but 2 people become 20. So 1 plus 1 and 1 become 11. Equals to 11. Engineer said. Now the next person was accountant. And the person asked, 1 and 1 how much? And you know what accountant said? Accountant said that, how much you want, you tell me. So what does it mean? If you want 5, I can make it 1 plus 1, 5. I can prove that. That's the meaning of creative accounting. So they are so creative.
Because the accountant should already have a strategy.
Exactly. Yeah. They have strategy. They love the numbers. They understand the numbers, and numbers understand them.
They know how to change it.
Exactly, how to change it. So directors can do that. Right? Not accountant, because accountant is appointed by director. So director can influence accountant. Accountant could be influenced by the director. So accountant is not really independent. It depends. Like in very simple way, I can't say that accountant is independent. Accountant is not independent, influenced by the directors. Otherwise, director will ask, "Well, accountant, you leave the company. If you want to work in this company, listen to me. I'm the boss." Anyway, so there are some kind of agencies problems. So to deal with these matters, we have a corporate governance. All right. We have a governance. Now, we move to the next part, which is benefits. Now we know what is governance, why we need governance, what are the benefits of governance. Now, benefits. What are the advantages we can get it from the governance? Having a governance, how could it give positive impact over the business? So, the benefits include better control. What does it mean, better control? Better control means less fraud. Fraud means, in other language, cheating. Like as, like as ACCA Bank. The guy, the short guy, Baukin. His name is Baukin, right? Baukin.
You can write.
His
Spell is. Can you spell
His
it?
name is. I don't know. I just listen the name. Baukin.
Baukin.
Baukin. Yeah. So I'm sorry, my accent very bad. Baukin.
Okay.
Waiting bank. Nguyen Thi Huynh Nhi. Nguyen Thi Huynh. Nguyen Thi.
Dạ.
Nguyen Thi. H-U-Y-N-H. Huynh. Something like that. The woman name is Nguyen Thi Huynh Nhi. So, do you know that woman? She also involved into the within bank some kind of. But she was just a manager in the within bank. Another bank is the Ocean Bank. Ocean Bank, they're also some kind of CEO involved in some kind of frauds and legit stuff. Anyway, so corporate governance provide the better control. Better control means less fraud. And can I say that better control means more wealth. Better control means this company controlled very good by the management. So shareholders like to inject money, like to supply money for that organization. So better control provide more wealth to the organization. That's the benefits of governance. Another benefit is better management. Roles and responsibilities, accountabilities, delegations, powers, duties are covered by the governance. So what does it mean? How better management could be happen with the help of governance code. So governance code means governance principles. It tells about how management could be better. Better the way of the working in the organizations. And another benefits could be investor confidence. Investor believe they are more free, feel free to invest in the organization. So if investor feel confident, so inflow of the money in the organization, supply of money could be increased in the organization. So that investor confidence attract the investment, bring money into the organization with the help of the corporate governance, with the help of the governance. That's benefit of the governance. So now we move on with the purpose. What is the purpose of corporate governance? Mainly corporate governance, I can't say that there is no any hard and fast rule to measure the governance. So because I'm just giving the overall picture of the governance. If I said that there are two purposes, but it doesn't mean that only there are two purposes of the corporate governance. So purpose. Purpose is monitor management. They can monitor the management. Yeah, monitor the management. I think you can't see. Yeah. Monitor the management. And long-term value, provide long-term value. Monitor the management. So what does it mean, monitor the management? What does it mean, monitor the management? Monitor the management means make sure the people or the management work in the best interest of shareholders. Best interest of shareholder means be loyal with the shareholders. So whatever, doing by heart, I mean, dying to work with the shareholders. I don't know if it happened or not, but suppose we assume that. So, monitor management. Monitor management could be possible through the balance board. Balance board. What does it mean, balance board? Balance board means balance between the people of the board, who they are, executive directors and non-executive directors. So the balance between executive directors and non-executive directors. So who are the executive directors? Executive director is a person who involved into day-to-day business transaction, who run the company. Right? Run the business. Directors, executive directors, right? Regular involvement. NED, we call it external directors, or sometimes shadow directors, or sometimes we call them audit committees. So these audit committees basically supervise ED, because this ED is very dangerous person. Dangerous means very smart, very smart. So, did you watch the movie Kung Fu Panda?
Yes.
The first movie, in the Kung Fu Panda, in the first movie, there was a tiger. Very strong and very smart, exactly. So even though we have a non-executive directors, we have a corporate governance, we have a risk managers, we have an internal auditor, we have an external auditor, still ED involved into fraud and cheating. Very smart person, so scared from the ED. So never mess with ED. Never mess with ED. Okay, anyway, so balance of board. Another purpose is, and another monitor management through the audit. Management could be monitored through the audit or monitoring the audit. Audit, verifying the financial statement or give the opinion over the financial statement, basically F8 assurance, talk about the audit. Then long-term values. I think I do not need to speak long-term value here, because when I talk about agency problem, I mentioned personal interest. Personal interest of shareholder, personal interest of director. And I said that director love his pocket. And shareholders, wealth maximization, long-term value. Long-term values, right? Provide the long-term values to the organization. That's the main purpose of the governance. Right? That's mainly the purpose of the governance. So now we move on to the concept. Yeah. Concept. Actually, there are too many concepts, so sometimes very hard for student to remember, and they like to memorizing. And we have a mind. It's not a computer that we just keep memorizing. So sometimes memorizing not good for health, so, because too much stress. So that's why sometimes I try to give some easy way. Sometimes I can't say that we should not memorize. Memorizing is bad. No, we should memorize too. Like, how do I know that? I memorize. I memorize. All right. So very hard to memorize. So that's why sometimes I give some tips to students to understand or memorizing the things like as concept. There are around seven concepts if you count. I think so if I'm not wrong. 7, right?
Yes.
7 or 8?
Eight.
Okay.
8 concepts.
So F-I-T. Fit, harm. Fit, harm. So what does it mean, fit, harm? Fit, harm. You know fit, harm, you know harm? Okay. Harmful. Harmful. Fit, harm. Fit, harm is an abbreviation to understand, to remember. So F stands for fairness. I stand for integrity. T stands for integrity or independence. We could say that integrity is possibly honesty. Transparency. H stands for honesty. Honesty and integrity. A stands for accountability. R stands for responsibility. 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 And M stands for moral stance. So this is the way sometimes I ask my student to work like that. Like as, for example, I remember when I was in high school, actually in my country, we study accounting in high school, +1 and +2. 10th standard, then +1 and +2. So until 10th standard, we study normal subjects. Science, like as history, English, mathematics, but +1 and +2 we have to decide the major. So when I moved to first time into the major, I thought, oh, that's so difficult for me to memorizing the stuff and start memorizing. And fortunately, my father was accountant too. He said, oh, you shouldn't memorize. So my father, he gave me some ideas. There was a balance sheet, and sometimes it's very hard to memorizing the balance sheet. When you read balance sheet first time, I thought, oh, too many things we need to understand about balance sheet. How can we understand? How can we remember? So my father, he taught me one tips. Same tips now I use it. I follow that. The tip was, father is calling mother. Father stands for fixed assets, investment, current liability, and miscellaneous expenditure. So this is balance sheet, asset sides of the balance sheet. So from that times onwards, I try to make my own abbreviations. So that abbreviation fit, harm, help me to rather than just fair. Because if I try to memorize fairness, integrity, definitely I will forget. But now I'm not going to forget any single words. I can't forget. So normally I tell the same thing to my student, but I said, but do not memorize all the time. Very less, try to memorize as less as possible. Try to understand the logic first. Okay, anyway. Fairness. Now what does it mean, fairness? Fairness means equalities among stakeholders. Make sure there is no any differentiation between discriminations between stakeholders and the shareholders. Like I can't say that we are preparing financial statement only for shareholders because they are one of the most important users in the organization, most important reader of the financial statement. No, suppliers also need financial statement. Bank, government also need financial statement too. So I am not preparing financial statement only for shareholders. So shareholder is not only the user of the company financial statement. I should keep in our mind everybody, not just only the shareholders. That's the meaning of fair. That's fair for everybody, not just only for the powerful person in the organization. Integrity, honesty. Honesty is the best policy. So what does it mean? That means directors is required or by nature must be honest with the organization, with utilization of the resources, effectiveness and efficiency, usage in order to use the company resources. Integrity is so important. Transparency. Transparency means open information. Open information means whatever happened in the organization, show the same thing to the companies. There's no any off balance, there's no any creativity accounting. Off balance sheet is not, off, because accounting is not your major, you didn't study accounting in F7. So if I say that, off balance, say yes, we know. You're supposed to say that because you are my student and you finish F. Right? So you know off balance sheet, okay, yes. So off balance sheet is not bad for the organization, but the idea I'm trying to explain here that company must provide clear information to the users, not just fake. Like as for example, which information you like it? You like fake profit or real loss? What do you like it? Fake profit or real loss? What do you like? Fake profit. Unfortunately, but that's bad. My company, if I show you fake profit, is good for you? Yes, short term. Long term is bad for your investment because business is gonna bankrupt. So I have to be more clear. If it's fake profit, if it's loss, show the loss. If it's profit, show the profit. There is no any creativity. There is no any manipulations with the numbers. Honesty, same thing I mentioned here. Honesty. So rather than I will write here integrity, I will write here, because integrity and honesty is the same. I will write here independence. Independence. Make sure it's not influenced by anybody. No influence. No influence means I cannot force you to do something wrong, to do something bad. So you are an honest person. Honesty, same thing. Accountabilities. Accountabilities means director is the person who is the highest position in the case of the management. I mean, like as chairman. So what happened in the organization, director is the person who is a manager, who involved into management. And what is the meaning of management? You study in F1, right? Yes, yeah, you study in F1 that management means getting things done by other people. I'm the manager. I don't do anything. I use you to do something. So I'm a director, you are my employees. So sometime I delegate you. I will give you some powers to do that, to do the things, to make the decision, because I can't do everything in the organization. I appoint you, I give you some kind of power, I give you some kind of responsibilities or some kind of delegation. So the idea is that whatever you are doing, you must be accountable to me. Accountable to me means you have to report to me. And I need to look at your report. I need to look at your performance. So that's the concept of the governance. That's the meaning of accountabilities. Responsibilities is director is responsible for what? Director is responsible for preparing and presenting financial statement. If financial statement, let's say if accountant try to involve something, trying to change the numbers in the organization, director will be responsible for that. So mainly director is responsible for preparing and presenting financial statements that normally you study in your F8, director responsibilities. Not only preparing and presenting financial statement, director also responsible for maintaining internal control in the organization. Like as here, better control. Director is responsible in the organizations because he is running a company. Right? So running a company is not so easy. Right? Moral stance, you know, the morals, ethics, kind of be good, be nice, don't try to cheat something, don't try to override, like management overrides or revenue recognition. Don't try to show the wrong revenue recognition means wrong revenue. use. Wrong numbers, don't do that. That's bad for the people, bad for the people who are going to use the company financial statement. You are better than my student. At least you don't sleep.
No, that was
Yeah, you're good. You're very good. You should be my student, but my students sometimes sleep. I said, wake up. I don't like to talk to the pictures. I like to talk to the humans. You're better than them. I don't know you getting my points or not, but you look me so seriously. So I don't know. So I don't know you understand or not, but you look me so seriously. What he's talking about? No idea. All going from here.
We understand what you say. We are paying attention what
That's good.
And you are saying the age point is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
These are the concept, the main concept of the governance. Important. Yeah. In simple, yeah, it's very important. Now next one is relevance. What happened?
You make me smile.
I don't know why people, not all the time, not with the ACCA student, because I do not teach only the ACCA subjects, because I also teach for the universities. Each ACCA student very sincere, very lenient. I mean, not lenient. I mean, they are very good. They listen to me. They're active. More than 90% class is active, especially P level. But university students, they're so, I don't know, they're so sleepy or so tired. I think they don't like me actually. They hate me because I teach a lot and I talk a lot and I give them too much information. Their mind is full of information. Even they can't think something else. So
Which university to use?
actually, I teach for the banking university.
Banking university.
Banking university, University of Finance and Marketing. Daihok Taichin.
Which marketing? Marketing.
Daihok Taichin Marketing. Yeah.
I graduated from the University of Finance and Marketing.
Oh, you graduated from that university. Close the stadium.
From the English faculty. From the English
English faculty.
Yeah.
What was your major? Your major.
English management. Sorry, English business English.
Business English. Oh, they have a business English major as well. I thought they have only two majors: accounting, auditing, banking. No, they have two majors.
We just study about the language and the business in the corporation. Not just. I think you are talking about the system and the sole problem of the corporation. I think it's a very important for me, but it's a very in detail.